So here's one from George. He says, I am working to try and find what I am put on this earth to do, God's purpose for me. I feel like I am being held back due to fear and lack of confidence. I've already removed my heart wall and have recently purchased the body code. What are questions I can ask to find out what I need to do to feel happy, fulfilled, and successful in this life? Thank you, Dr. Nelson. Oh boy, isn't that the most important question that we can ask in this world? I really believe that it is. What is God's purpose for me? Well, um, that is a question, and I'll tell you what I believe is that that question simply needs to be asked. Now, um, since this particular question is, what is God's purpose for me? What you need to do, George, is you need to ask God. You need to pray, and I would make this a habit. And here's the interesting thing about this here's the interesting thing about this, what I have noticed anyway. In my own life, I got in the habit of asking God to guide my life, okay? And I got into that habit a long, long time ago. And I finally now feel like I've really arrived, and at least at the moment, for right now, I feel like I am definitely doing what God's purpose is for me in the world. But the fascinating thing about it is, uh, it's been a kind of a transformative process. I got into computer programming years ago, back in the early 80s. And, I was praying during those years and asking God to guide my life and asking God what his purpose was for me. And so I got into computer programming, and I thought that was God's purpose for me. And I thought, oh, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. And then it turned out, no, that really wasn't what it was supposed to be. It turned out that God's purpose for me was actually to go into chiropractic. And I thought, oh, I'm going to be a chiropractor for the rest of my life. And then I found out, no, that's not really it either. Now you're going to be doing this, and you're going to write this book, The Emotion Code, and you're going to be teaching and doing all of this other stuff all over the world. So at this point, I'm kind of realizing that God's purpose can change depending on the phase that you're in your life. And so I think that that's really an important thing to realize. I think that I'll tell you what happened to me, and it was, and you may have heard me tell this story before, but I was really at a crossroads. I didn't know what to do. I had been healed of kidney disease when I was a kid, and I thought that that's what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to go into the healing arts, and I wanted to be a natural doctor and heal people naturally, because that was the kind of doctor that had healed me of my kidney disease, and Western medicine had nothing to offer. But as time went on, I got more involved in computers and programming and business, and I decided I was going to get my MBA. My wife and I, at one point, found ourselves at the home of my parents, and my dad, totally out of the blue, said to me, "Are you sure you don't want to go to chiropractic school? It seems like a great career. You've always wanted to do it." And I said, "No, I'm going this other direction." And he said, "Well, why don't you think about it one more time?" And so I thought, well, okay, I guess I will. So my wife and I made up a pro and con list, and that's another thing that's a good idea for you to do. Make up a pro and con list, and I think that anytime you're healing, you can't go wrong. Okay, anytime you're helping other people, because really anytime you're serving other people, I believe you're really just serving God. And so I prayed that night and asked if God had anything to say about this or any feedback for me, because I didn't know what to do. Suddenly, I had thought that my life was going one direction, and now suddenly this old dream that I had been resuscitated, and now I was looking at the two compelling futures, and I didn't know what to do. So I prayed and I asked for help, and I had this interesting experience where I was awakened 3 different times that first night to find well, I was awakened to find my mind full of all these amazing warm feelings about going into the healing arts and healing people naturally. And that happened 3 times. And each time it would happen, I would think, well, yeah, but this other direction too, and I'd fall back asleep. And then the next night, I'm on my knees again, praying because I still didn't know what to do. And on that night, I had the same experience, but this time, each time that I was awakened, the feelings were geometrically more powerful on that second night. And until the third time on the second night, it was just totally overwhelming. Feelings of thoughts of service to mankind and humanity. And I mean, it was just unbelievable. And right at that moment, I actually heard a voice that spoke to me that said, "This is a sacred calling." So that was how I found out what my purpose was. But even then, I didn't know really what it was because I thought it was going to be just chiropractic. And even now, I'm doing what I'm doing now, but I don't know because I think that God's purpose for us can change. So I think it's really important to ask and move ahead with your life. Ask and move ahead, and I know that if you ask, you'll receive. I've learned that in my life absolutely 100% for certain. If you ask, you receive, and if you knock, the door will be opened for you. And another thing that I have found in my own life is this little formula for getting answers from up above. And so when you're faced with an issue, what you do is you study it out uh, in your own mind, make a decision, whatever it is, and then you take that decision um, to God in prayer and ask for His confirmation or ask for His help. And if you feel peaceful about that decision that you've made, that's a yes. You should move in that direction. If you feel anxiety at all about that decision, that's a no. And it's not, I mean, yes, I heard a voice and had an amazing, really dramatic experience, but that's not usually been my experience in my own life. Usually it's been that these two feelings, the peaceful feeling or the anxiety feeling, will be kind of subtle feelings that you kind of have to sit down in a quiet place and really kind of tune in and pay attention. But it's just one or the other, okay? It's either peace or anxiety. And if you've studied it out and made a decision and you've taken that decision to God in prayer and then you've asked and felt either peace or anxiety, that's what you should do. So hopefully that helps. Just remember that it's something that doesn't happen instantly. God's purpose for you, I mean, it would be super easy if we could just ask and then instantly know what God's purpose is. That'd be great. But it manifests over your lifetime. So the key is to just keep asking. Hopefully that helps.